Kamal and Ayesha had been married for 7 years. To outsiders, they looked like the perfect couple, he, a driven marketing executive, and she, a graceful homemaker with a gentle smile. Their home was neat, their photos cheerful, and their conversations polite. But behind closed doors, there was a silence neither wanted to admit existed. Kamal often came home late, exhausted, and distracted. He would offer tired smiles, kiss her forehead, and retreat to his laptop. Ayesha didn't complain. She understood his ambitions, but she longed for more than routines and quiet dinners. She missed the way he used to laugh with her, how he once noticed small things like her new earrings or the way she set the table. These days, her efforts went unseen. The loneliness was subtle, like a background noise she had grown used to. Every morning, she made his breakfast, ironed his shirts, and waved goodbye at the door, hoping that maybe today he would look back. He rarely did. Then Kamal got promoted. It was a big deal, years of hard work finally recognized. He would now report directly to the regional director, a man named Saad. Kamal spoke highly of him. He's sharp. Smart. Knows how to get results, Kamal said, sipping tea without looking up. A week later, there was a company dinner to celebrate the promotion. Kamal insisted Ayesha come along. She hesitated but agreed. The dinner was formal, set in a rooftop restaurant. Kamal was busy talking numbers with colleagues, and Ayesha sat quietly at the table. That's when she met Saad. He introduced himself with a warm smile, complimented her sari, and asked her how long she and Kamal had been married. His tone wasn't flirtatious, it was curious, respectful. When Ayesha mentioned 7 years, he said, "You must be proud of all he's accomplished." She nodded but felt a twist in her chest. Saad didn't rush the conversation. He asked about her hobbies, her opinions on art, even her favorite authors. It had been a long time since someone asked about her, really asked. She felt herself open up, answering with honesty, laughing once or twice. It was innocent. Or so she told herself. That night, as Kamal drove them home, he talked about a new campaign. Ayesha nodded at the right places but barely heard a word. Her mind kept returning to Saad's voice, his questions, his attention. She pushed the thought aside. It was just a conversation. Nothing more. Days passed. Life returned to routine. Kamal left early, came back late. But something had shifted inside Ayesha. The brief exchange with Saad had stirred something she couldn't name. It wasn't attraction, at least not yet. It was the feeling of being seen again, like sunlight after a long winter. She didn't speak of it. She carried it quietly, unsure whether it meant anything at all. Kamal's workload increased with the new role, and his late nights became more frequent. He was always on calls, even during dinner. Sometimes he ate standing, phone pressed to his ear, nodding absently at Ayesha. She would quietly clear the table, used to his half-presence. She had learned to smile through his silence, to hide her loneliness behind domestic tasks. But pretending contentment was beginning to exhaust her. One evening, Kamal left his phone in the living room. It rang, and Ayesha, thinking it might be urgent, answered. "Hello," she said softly. The voice on the other end was calm and friendly. "Ayesha. This is Saad, I was trying to reach Kamal." She felt her breath catch slightly. "He's in the shower," she replied. Saad chuckled lightly. "Of course. No problem. Just tell him to check the email about the Thursday pitch." Before hanging up, he added, "By the way, he's lucky to have someone like you. Not everyone understands how demanding this job is." It was a simple sentence, but it stayed with her long after the call ended. A day later, she received a message. It was Saad. A short thank you for passing along the message and a remark, "You sounded calm and strong, like someone who holds things together." Ayesha read it twice, smiling faintly, before replying with a polite acknowledgement. It should have ended there, but it didn't. The next day, he messaged again. A joke about Kamal's obsession with coffee. She responded. Then another message came. Then another. Soon, their chats became regular, brief, thoughtful, harmless. At first, it was about Kamal's stress, about work culture. But slowly, it drifted to other things, music, books, childhood stories. Ayesha didn't realize when she started waiting for his messages, or when his words began to brighten her day more than Kamal's presence ever did. She tried to convince herself that it was just friendship, that she had every right to talk to someone who listened, who cared. But late at night, she felt a nagging discomfort. There was nothing romantic in their words, but the connection felt too personal. Still, she didn't stop. One weekend, Saad hosted a company retreat at his country home. Kamal was swamped with a product launch and told Ayesha to go without him. Saad said it'll be relaxed. Just food, music, and people you already know, he said casually. Ayesha hesitated, but the idea of getting out of the house, of seeing Saad again, stirred something in her. She agreed. She told herself it was for social appearance, to support Kamal, nothing more. Yet, when she packed her bag, she found herself putting extra thought into what she would wear. She picked earrings she hadn't worn in months, applied perfume Kamal had long stopped noticing. As the car pulled up to Saad's house, her heart thudded not from fear, but anticipation. She was stepping into unfamiliar emotional territory, and deep down, she knew something about her life was about to shift. The evening unfolded gently. Saad greeted Ayesha at the entrance with a warm smile, not overly familiar but clearly pleased to see her. The house was filled with colleagues and light conversation, but Saad made sure she never felt out of place. He introduced her to a few people, fetched her a drink, and stayed close enough without crowding her. Throughout the evening, their eyes met more often than they should have. Later, as guests thinned and music softened, Saad asked if she wanted to sit outside. They walked to a quiet patio lit by soft lanterns. The night air was still, almost intimate. They talked about regrets, about how fast life moves, about the version of ourselves we hide from the world. Ayesha found herself saying things she hadn't told anyone in years. Saad listened without interrupting, his expression calm, thoughtful. "You're more than what you've been made to feel," he said quietly. She felt something shift inside her. He wasn't flattering her. He believed it. And that belief made her feel alive. Then he asked if she remembered the song she had mentioned once in passing, an old tune from her college days. She smiled in surprise. He played it from his phone, low and soft. They sat in silence, listening. It was just a moment. But in that moment, she felt completely understood. When he reached out his hand, she took it. They danced slowly, cautiously, the world around them fading. There was no kiss, no declarations, but the emotion was undeniable. Ayesha rested her head briefly against his shoulder, then pulled away, apologizing, unsure of what had just happened. Saad didn't pressure her. He only said, "You don't have to explain." She nodded, overwhelmed, and excused herself for the night. Back in the guest room, she lay on the unfamiliar bed, staring at the ceiling. Her body hadn't betrayed Kamal, but her heart had already crossed the line. She picked up her phone and typed in her journal, "I think I love him." The words felt surreal, but right. She didn't send them. She didn't tell anyone. But writing them down made it real. The next morning, she left early, avoiding breakfast and avoiding Saad. He didn't try to stop her. She appreciated that. The drive back was quiet. Her phone buzzed once, a voice note. She didn't open it immediately. Hours later, sitting on her bed, she listened. It was Saad. "You looked beautiful last night. I haven't stopped thinking about you." Her breath caught. She replayed it twice, then deleted it. Not because she regretted it, but because she didn't trust herself to hear it again. When Kamal came home that evening, she tried to act normal, asked about his day, smiled at the right times, but her heart wasn't in the room. Kamal noticed her quietness but didn't ask. He was too tired, too distracted. And Ayesha, though sitting right beside him, felt farther away than she had ever been. The guilt settled in like a slow fog, clouding Ayesha's thoughts, shadowing her every gesture. She went about her days mechanically, preparing breakfast, cleaning the house, replying to messages, but something inside her had shifted. She hadn't seen Saad since that night, and though he hadn't messaged again, his absence was just as loud. Every part of her wanted to reach out, yet something held her back: fear, shame, uncertainty. She knew what had happened wasn't physical, but she also knew that emotional lines had been crossed. And once crossed, They couldn't be erased. Kamal seemed oblivious at first. Still overworked, still absorbed in meetings, still glued to his laptop. But his silences became longer, his glances more observant. One evening, while folding laundry, he found her journal beneath a pile of clothes. He wasn't searching, not intentionally. But the open page caught his eye, the sentence stared at him like a confession. I think I love him. He didn't react immediately. He closed the journal, placed it back, and walked away. That night, he lay beside her in bed, eyes wide open, his body rigid. Ayesha, unaware, slept restlessly. 2 days later, during dinner, Kamal put down his fork and looked at her. Are you in love with someone else? The question wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was quiet. Tired. Heavy. Ayesha froze. Her throat tightened. There was no point denying it. Her eyes welled up. I didn't mean to, she whispered. It just happened. Kamal said nothing at first. Then, did you sleep with him? No, she said quickly. I would never. But I felt things I shouldn't have. And I didn't stop it. He nodded slowly. The silence stretched painfully between them. Do you love him more than you love me? She looked down, unable to answer. Kamal stood, took his keys, and walked out. He didn't slam the door. He didn't curse or shout. He just left. Ayesha sat alone at the table, staring at the cold food, trembling. Her marriage hadn't exploded. It had crumbled, quietly, slowly, painfully. She picked up the journal, ripped out the page, and held it tightly in her hand before throwing it in the fireplace. Hours passed. Kamal didn't return. She knew he would, eventually, but something between them had died that night. Not because of Saad, not even because of betrayal, but because of everything that came before it. The neglect. The silence. The slow unraveling of connection. As she stared at a framed photo of their wedding, she whispered, I waited for you for so long. And when someone finally saw me, I didn't know how to turn away. The story didn't end with drama. It ended with quiet consequences. Kamal would return. They might try to fix it. But trust, once broken, never comes back whole. Some wounds never bleed outside. They only bleed within.